What is up, guys? DT Ninja here to give you guys my RuroKen Hokkaido Arc Interesting Facts Part 1. Okay, guys, this is a video series that I put together of some interesting facts. Now, these are things that I noticed throughout while working on the Hokkaido Arc, while reading the Hokkaido Arc, and I noticed them. And some of them are subtle, some of them are noticeable. So I wanted to share them, and I hope you guys enjoy. So this video, part 1, will cover numbers 1 through 5. So I've actually done up to 13 interesting facts. So I've actually created scans for them, and I put them on my my Facebook page, so you guys can check those out. But I wanted to further discuss each of them, so that's what this video is for. So if you guys notice, I have Kaoru here. And also, I also have the latest issue of Shonen Jump, SQ. So that will be in my next video, which will be the review of chapter 23. So please be patient. That is definitely coming soon. So, okay, let's get to the video. So number 1, the first interesting fact is Ashitaro receives his name from Kenshin. Yes, guys, Ashitaro receives his name from Kenshin. And you're probably like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. We heard that Ashitaro's, was called before even Kenshin was introduced to his side stories. So how is that possible? Well, there are a couple things you need to know. First, this is more like Master Hiko, okay? You guys know Master Hiko gave Kenshin his name, right? His name was Shinta as a boy, but when he took him in and he trained under him, he said, Shinta is too gentle of a name for a swordsman. From this day, you are Kenshin, right? Well, this is very similar in that regard. Well, there are things that I noticed in the first chapter, which is Ashitaro the ex-con. Now, Ashitaro is the main character of this story, and he's an ex-con, right? He's coming out of prison. Well, this is Ashitaro right here, okay? So we already know his name, right? But the interesting thing about this is that he's known for having a bad reputation, and we see it over and over in this first chapter that he has a bad reputation. He's like a wretched brat, even evil was mentioned, bad boy. These are the reputation words that are shown in this chapter. So we're to assume that Ashitaro is his name, right? Well, I did some digging, I did some research on this, and obviously I actually translated this chapter when it first came out in 2016, so I've done a lot of research on this, and I noticed some things. So first, he never introduces himself, okay? Ashitaro never introduces himself. He doesn't say, hi, Aran, Aran introduces himself, and he's like, who are you? Before he even meets him, he doesn't even know he's with him, and he's like, who are you? And he never introduces himself. So Asahi, the girl who's waiting for him outside the prison, mentions that you're Ashitaro Hasegawa, known for having a bad reputation in the mountains in Hasegawa region. So we get right off the bat that his name is Ashitaro. But she mentions that he has a bad reputation, and it reflects the kanji in his name, which is bad boy. Okay? So, again, we're to believe that this kanji is Ashitaro. However, going further, let me show you that scan. Okay, this is the one I'm talking about. Okay, you guys can see the characters there. You can actually see the character there for bad, just like Sano's. Okay, all right. So the next thing is Shishio. Okay, we find out that he had a flashback with Shishio. He met Shishio. He stole his food in Shishio's shrine of, Mount Hiei. At Mount Hiei, he stole his food. So Shishio asks, what's this guy's name? He doesn't even tell him, but he's intrigued. You can see his face here. He's got a smile on his face after Hoji tells him he's got a bad reputation. He's known as the bad boy, and he's like, that's interesting. And the reason why he says that is because of the character for bad is in his name. So he's like, that's interesting. So then he's like, I'll make you my 11th, my 11th sword, Jupon Gatana, the 10 swords, so crawl your way up, rise up, because if you don't, you'll spend the rest of your life as a wretched brat. Now, a wretched brat literally means Ashitaro, or we're supposed to believe it, right? Bad boy, wretched brat. These are the things that he's been called. Now, we all know this because other people called him this. However, towards the end of the chapter, we find out, Kenshin saves him, and he becomes part of Kamiya Dojo. Aran tells Kenshin his characters, but you'll notice they are not the same characters. Where is the character for bad? Where is it? There is no character for bad. The character for bad is usually Warui or Aku, right? But here, it isn't. It isn't. It's for tomorrow. So this character right here is for tomorrow. And the one we saw before was Warui or bad. So the bad kid. So they're different, right? So what I came up with is that, especially because look at his face. His face is like, wow, I've never been called, something so positive sounding. So like he's actually happy about it, It's like, wow, Ashitaro, that sounds great, So I came up with the idea that actually his name was Akutaro. Because Aku is the kanji for bad, just like, Sano's bad symbol on his back. So that's my thing. I kind of went through it and kind of broke down the kanji. So literally, when Shishio, looks at his name, he likes it because there's bad in it, the character for bad. But here, as you can see, there's nothing bad about it. It actually says tomorrow, as in the next generation of swordsmen. So that's really cool. So Kenshin kind of gave him his name. That's pretty cool. So he gave him his name. Because Aran assumed it was bad, right? Because, people told him that, so... So, pretty cool. Ashitaro actually receives his name from Kenshin, just like Master Hiko gave Kenshin the name from Shinta. So, pretty cool. Okay, number 2. Kenshin usually calms and trains his spirit in the forest of bamboo, the bamboo forest. Okay, so this is a very common thing throughout Kenshin. Okay, so in chapter 153, before the Jinshu arc, you'll find Kenshin just chilling in the bamboo forest. Is right after the Kyoto arc, okay? You guys can see him there, right in the bamboo forest. He's just chilling there. He's kind of calm, and it just kind of calms him down, and it's a solemn place for him, So this is something that you see repeatedly. Well, right after that, we see something happen in Tokyo, right? There's a bomb that goes off. Remember the one-armed man shoots a cannon right into Tokyo and it just explodes, remember? So it's pretty crazy, right? Incoming danger happens right after he's in the bamboo forest. Well, it happens again in chapter 183. I believe it's 183. You can correct me if I'm wrong. This is right after he tells the story of the cross-shaped scar. And he's there alone again, and Kaoru comes and finds him, and they kind of have a serious talk, and he's talking as if he's going to leave them after his fight with Inishi, because this is like, life or death. And, Kaoru, she confesses to him, I don't want you to leave. I want you to stay with me. And after that, remember, Kaoru is captured, and Kenshin believes she's dead. She died. She was killed. So a lot of bad things happen right after that. It's like a dangerous mission, a dangerous battle. He goes off. I kind of call it the calm before the storm, this bamboo forest that Kenshin visits. And it's the same one every time. And it happens again in the Hokkaido arc. So in Volume 1 and Chapter 3, after Yayiko and Kenshin have a duel, they fight to test his strength. He receives the Sakabato once more, and you can see him right there. and he's once again in the bamboo forest. And here he kind of feels the effects of, using the Hiten Mitsurugi style. But right after that, they go to Hokkaido. And obviously, you guys know Hokkaido, they come across the Yaminobu, they come across Kenkaku Heki, so there's enemies left and right, there's dangers awaiting them, the calm before the storm. So it's very interesting. I noticed this. This is a very common thing for Kenshin throughout, and not just in the Hokkaido arc, but the original as well. So I love how they connect together. Okay, the next thing. This is number 3. There are real life places with a historical reference. Okay, so like history kind of connected to these places, and they also connect to the characters. So a real life place connected with a history in the Hokkaido arc, and this goes back, past, in the past. So it's pretty cool. Okay, so the first one that I have here is Kobato Prison. Okay, you guys know Chapter 9, Kobato Prison, the assault on Kobato Prison. Well, Kobato Prison is actually a real-life prison. It was actually used for the most dangerous criminals in Japan. So when you were, like, a serial murderer or something, you're sent for life in prison, you would go to Kobato Prison because that is the most maximum security prison. And this was a real prison, by the way. So that's pretty cool. And we actually see it in Chapter 9. So I'm going to show you that. That's in Volume 2 if you guys wanted to know. So this is Kobato Prison. You can see it's on fire here. You can actually see the kanji here for Kobato Prison there. And so this is the first, one of the combat field experiments of the Kenkaku Heki, right? Kobato Prison, where all the prisoners are broken free, and we see a lot of things, chaos happening. So it's pretty cool. But there's even more history behind it. Not only is it a real prison, but there's, a historical figure that you may know. Nagakura Shinpachi. You guys know Nagakura Shinpachi is the former second leader of the Shinsengumi. Just like Saito. Saito was the third, he was the second. Well, just like Saito, who changed his name to Goro Fujita, Nagakura changed his name to Yoshie Sugimura. And where did he kind of help others? Kobato Prison. And guess what? He's actually at Kobato Prison. So that's really cool. So in this chapter, Chapter 9, we first see Yoshie Sugimura right here. Right here. And he is responsible for training the prison guards to defend themselves against the prisoners. These guys are really bad guys. I mean, like I said, maximum security prison. So, like, he is a kendo master, and he taught the prison guards kenjutsu. So that's really cool. Another thing is that Anji, the destroyer, actually sent himself to Kobato Prison to repent for his sins. And you can actually see it in Chapter 9, the same room you see from Volume 14 of Kanzenban, the end of the Kyoto arc, where Cho tells Sanosuke that he's gone to Hokkaido. This is the first time we see him in Chapter 9 in the Hokkaido arc. You actually see him going off with Yoshie Sugimura here. So that's really cool. Kobato Prison, a real prison connected to the real life Nagakura Shinpachi. And yeah, that's really cool. So I found that interesting. Okay, the next thing is Goryeo Kaku Fortress. Okay, now this has a lot of history behind it. So in the same volume, Volume 2, Goryeo Kaku Fortress is basically a monstrous it's a huge stronghold, and it's in the shape of a star. So I'm going to show you guys this. This is what it looks like. And that's what it looks like right there. There's Goryeo Kaku. And basically, it was an old stronghold for the Ezo Republic. Now, after kind of the Bakumatsu, Hokkaido was kind of ruled by Ezo Republic, and this was their stronghold. So this was a military stronghold. And in the Battle of Hakodate, this was where it took place. This is where the big battle took place, and it's very historical. So the likes of Toshizo Hijikata, the vice captain of the Shinsengumi, met his end. He died in the battle here at this stronghold. So that is really interesting. And we actually see him in chapter 5 when Kenshin is reminded of seeing a picture of him at Tomoto's studio. So it's pretty cool how you have these things reoccurring, but also with the history connected to it. So yeah, Goryeo Kaku is pretty cool, not only because of the fallen Shinsengumi, but they're actually showing a lot happening there. Like it's actually a prison where Byakuya is being held currently, and then he fights Kenshin. So a lot of the chapters happen at Goryeo Kaku. So it's pretty cool. There's one more, and that is Orthodox Church in Hakodate. And that is basically a Russian-style church. This is where Asahi hangs out because everything is beautiful there. You can actually see the actual church here. And if you look it up, it's a real church. So it's located in Hakodate. It's pretty cool. So it doesn't actually have a history to it, but I mean, it does have history, just not connected to the original story of Kenshin. But still, it's pretty cool. You can actually go there. And by the way, Goryeo Kaku now is a national park in Hakodate, so it's also really cool. And there was one more, but it's less as connected to history. The Mount Hakodate. So Mount Hakodate is another big place in the Hokkaido Arc because there's also a battle between Byakuya and Saito that takes place. So those are the places that have history, that are connected, and I find interesting. So I thought I wanted to share that with you guys. Okay, the next one. Ashitaro, Aran, and Asahi are all characters adapted and inspired by Gunblaze West. We're talking about the Wild Wild West, and this is a story by Watsuki. I have actually never read this story, but I am very intrigued and I want to read it. So at some point I will. But I found it interesting that the characters from that story, the main heroine, the main characters, they actually reflect these three teenagers in the Hokkaido Arc. Now, these are as follows. In Gunblaze West, there's a character named Will. He's tall, he's lanky, he has blonde hair, just like Alan or Aran. And he's intellectual, he's very smart. So he also reflects Aran's personality. So that's pretty cool. And then you have Khalees. She's the heroine, and she's a skilled acrobat. And obviously we know Asahi is very skilled. She was a mercenary. She was trained as a mercenary. So, I mean, they definitely have some personality similarities. So it's pretty cool. And then the final one is the main character, Vyu. And Vyu, comes in with guns and pretty rash, loves challenges. He's just like Ashitaro. He's also rash and doesn't think with his brain. He just, he thinks before, he acts before thinking, right? So that's just his personality, and it kind of reflects Ashitaro. So I found that kind of interesting, how those characters, but anyways, I want to show you this scan, because I've actually made scans of these, and this one in particular is good because it actually shows the characters that I'm talking about. So take a look. Alright guys, so as you can see, that's pretty cool. Those three characters are inspired by Gunblaze West. Number 5. At the end of the prologue and after the Kyoto arc, there were hints that there's going to be more in Hokkaido. There's going to be people returning, kind of a reunion of sorts. And at the end of the prologue for the Hokkaido Arc, which is basically the end of Ashitaro the ex-con, we actually get a map of Hokkaido. Okay? So here's Hokkaido right here. And you guys can see, these are characters right here. So this is Asahi. Here's Sano. So this is hinted that Sano will return at some point in the Hokkaido Arc. And he actually does. He returns in Chapter 4. So if you read Chapter 4, Sano returns in Chapter 4, which is cool. And then there's mention of Aoshi and Misao in Chapter 13, but they haven't actually shown up. So we have a feeling they're going to show up based on what he's showing here. And then you have Master Hiko out here. He's kind of chilling out here. And he's also mentioned in Chapter 13, but he hasn't shown up. At some point, he's going to show up. We don't know when. And then down here, you have Sojiro. You can see his smile there and his dango he's eating. Sojiro shows up in Chapter 11. So Sojiro returns in the Hokkaido Arc as well. So it's very interesting. And obviously we knew Hokkaido was full of these characters since the Kyoto Arc. We knew this. We knew they were going there. So we obviously had an idea that this could happen. Okay, and then down here in the left-hand corner, we see Anji. And this is his little tablet from his Buddhist tablet. And I've already shown you Anji from Chapter 9. He shows up in the Hokkaido Arc as well. And then you got Saito. Saito shows up in Chapter 2. But then, look where he's smoking a cigarette. And above the cigarette, you can see there's a grave here. Now, this is very interesting because the actual grave is foreshadowing for his fallen comrades. And we see throughout the Hokkaido Arc how we see each of them. We see Toshizo Hijikata. We see, Nagakure Shinpachi come back. He's obviously not, he's still alive. But the fact is they meet at Hiketsuhi Monument. And I'll show you that here in a moment from Volume 3 here. So this is Volume 3. Hiketsuhi Monument. And actually, I think this is the same part where he's smoking a cigarette. Pretty much the same scene we saw just a second ago. And then here's Hiketsuhi right here. You can see it right there. And you can also see it right here where all three of them are right there. So you can actually see the same monument there. So we definitely get foreshadowing, and that's pretty cool, right? We get reunions. There's also Tsubame, who's in Chapter 1, and there's also Megumi, who is mentioned in Chapter 10, and she's also mentioned in a couple other chapters, but right now she has not shown up. So these are some characters that are going to return to the Hokkaido Arc, and the characters are going to be reunited. So some other characters that have shown up, Eiji Mishima shows up. There was foreshadowing Chapter 2. He actually showed up in Chapter 2, but we didn't know it until Chapter 5. Then there was Kamatari, Henya, Cho. They show up in Chapter 13. And then there's, let's see, who am I missing? Fuji is possibly going to show up as well. We know Master Hiko and Fuji had a battle in Kyoto Arc, so we're probably going to have something between those two at some point. And then, last but not least, we have Inoshi. Yes, we're talking about Inoshi Yukishiro. He's just chilling right here in the corner. So at some point, Inoshi is going to show up, and we're going to get, something from him as well. And of course, Kaoru's father. But Kaoru's father we've never met before, so it's not really a reunion other than Kaoru. But that's pretty cool, right? Last question. Which character do you want to see the most as a reunion for Kenshin and the others? Who do you want to see the most? For me, I really want to see Megumi. Megumi coming back and seeing the look on Sano's face and seeing their reactions to each other, because I know that they probably have feelings for each other, and it's been 5 years since they've seen each other, so a lot has happened, and Sano has mentioned her 3 times. So he's requested her to come to Hokkaido. So there's a lot there. And I really want to see that. I would really like to see their reunion. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys. There will be a part 2 coming in the future, and look forward to the upcoming review for chapter 23 that will be coming as well, probably sometime next week. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah.